Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to my panels, Puan Norizati binti Ibrahim and Sulaiman Hasim. Today I will present to you about my final year project, which is ideally management of earth moving work in construction. What is idling? Idling is when the motor vehicle is working while the vehicle is not moving. Idling also refer to any instant in which a piece of equipment is located at a job site and the engine is burning fuel, but no ground burning or other components are actively engaged in meaningful work. Next, problem statement. Idling is a major source of air pollution and can lead to health risks, higher operating costs, and higher fuel usage. Hamilton 2016. According to researcher Federal 2016, every hour an idling engine will burn as much as 1 gallon of fuel that can burn money from the fleet. Idling also can contribute a lot of emissions that are harmful to the environment, so it must need to be reduced in order to improve relationship with surrounding communities. Next, objective. There are 3 objectives for this research study. Firstly, to examine activity or duty cycles of operation of earth moving work, for example like loading and unloading soil activity. Second, to measure the idling activity of earth moving work, for example like how much truck for waiting to loading the soil. Last but not least, to propose idling management practice of earth moving work. Next, significance of study. Firstly, to provide a technical data for idling management. In order to reduce idling occur in construction activities, idling management need to be made. Second, to improve the performance of construction activities. Improvement of performance of construction activity can be achieved when engineers manage the idling process successfully. Next, provide information on how to reduce carbon emission in conducting construction activities. As we know, carbon emission can give bad effect to our health and environment. Thus, an appropriate action need to be made in order to reduce it. Next, literature review. Researchers from journal titled A Review of Idling Reduction Strategies to Improve Fuel Economy and Reduce Exhaust Emissions of Transport Vehicle state that the idling of the vehicle occur when the engine of the vehicles is working but is not engaged in transmission or is not in the gear. Extended idling of vehicles causes the waste of large quantities of fuel. Energy consumption with IR technologies is much lower than those without idling technologies, and even the least efficient option still exhibit an almost tertiary reduction in fuel use. Next, researcher from journal titled Engine Idle Time Reduction state that idling engine burn as much as 1 full gallon of fuel that burn budget dollars every hour. Reducing engine idle time means also reducing unnecessary fuel consumption and reducing the cost of energy. Next, researcher from journal titled Idling Reduction for Personal Vehicles declare that idling reduces the fuel economy of vehicles, costs money and causes pollution. Idling more than 10 seconds uses more fuel and creates more emission that lead to smoke and climate change compared stopping and restarting your car. Next, researcher from journal titled Idle Reduction Technology Demonstration Plan state that installing idle reduction technologies on the truck while it is on the factory production line could reduce initial system costs. Researcher from journal titled Eco-Hauling Principles to Reduce Carbon Emission and the Cost of Earthmoving, a case study, mentioned that proposed eco-hauling model would significantly reduce carbon dioxide emission and cost for earth-moving contractors while preserving profitability. Next, researcher from journal titled Sustainability Analysis of Earth-Moving Operation declared that emission stock models for off-road diesel equipment such as non-road and off-road allow for accurate estimate by differentiating emission levels from each equipment category. The following formula can be used to measure the emissions from one piece of equipment for each pollutant. Emission equal to engine power, HP, times hours of operation, times emission factor, times load factor. Next, methodology. There are 8 steps of methodology for these issues. Firstly, to identify area of study. The area of the study is in Selangor Shah Alam is chosen because of their development of the construction industry area. Plus, it is easy to get information related to idling management of earthmoving work research. Next, deciding topic, objective, scope. The objective of this study are to examine activity or duty cycle of operation of earthmoving work, to measure the idling activity of earthmoving work, and to propose idling management practice of earthmoving work. Next, literature review. Then, sample selection. Based on this research study, the sample of this study is construction industry area in Shah Alam. The sample selected regard to main topic of this research, which is idling management of earthmoving work in construction. Next, develop questionnaire. Questionnaire is developing based on the purpose of this research, which is idling management of earthmoving work in construction. Next is questionnaire. Example of questionnaire related to this study including how much time need for warming up the machine before execute work, how much average time need for loading work, and how much average time for unloading work. Next is data collection and analysis. For this research study, research method may include to collect information, data related to idling management of earthmoving work in construction, which can be interpreted and analyzed to frame answer to research question and improve research topic knowledge. And last but not least, conclusion and recommendation. Next is result and data analysis. For objective 1, which is to examine activity or duty cycle of operation of earthmoving work. Based on the questionnaire results, the top 3 of activities or duty cycles of operation of earthmoving work and construction site claimed by 103 respondents are unloading of soil, loading of soil, and compaction of soil. Loading and unloading of soil are very common construction activities during the preliminary stage of construction project. Compaction of soil usually being performed after the loading and unloading of soil. Next, for second objective, which is to measure the idling activity of earthmoving work. Based on the questionnaire result, the most duration of idling claimed by 103 selected respondents is 1 hour and 30 minutes. The lowest duration of idling time is 30 minutes, which is claimed by 1 respondent only. It is very important to measure the idling operation at the construction site. Next, for third objective, which is to propose ideally management practice of earth-moving work. Based on the questionnaire result, the top 3 of proposed ideally management practice of earth-moving work by the 103 selected respondents are restricted the duration of time of warming up in the morning, turn off the trucks that waiting for loading or unloading for more than 5 minutes, and prefer to use automatic shutdown feature when available. As the conclusion, the objective of the study have been achieved, which are to examine activity or duty cycle of activity. As the conclusion, the objective of the study have been achieved, which are to examine activity or duty cycles of operation of earth-moving work, to measure the idling activity of the earth-moving work, and to propose idling management practice of earth-moving work. For recommendation, the construction workers encouraged to turn off quickly the engine of machine if they not used. Next, the construction manager encouraged to purchase or rent the latest model and technology of the machine, which usually have automatic shutdown feature in them. And last but not least, the construction manager must make sure that every workers should realize the importance of the idling management toward to their construction project goals. That's all for me today. Thank you.